Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead, and hope you enjoyed seeing me go grocery shopping in the yard. Angela Kay sent me out. She needed some carrots and some rosemary, and we had some out in the yard. So that's what we try to do, right? I told you that before. We try to get something on our plate from our yard and from our land, and we had some carrots out there that kept growing in the winter, some rosemary out there that kept growing throughout the winter. So we needed them for this. Run them right in. But today, Angela Kay is going to show you how to make a pasta fagioli. We're gonna make fagioli, okay? It can be called pasta fagioli, pasta fazool, pasta e fagioli. It's fagioli, okay? It's an Italian dish. We love it here. We use some beans we grew, some carrots we've grown, everything else. So I'm gonna shut up and let her tell you what's going on, okay?
Okay, first off, I'll show you what we've got going on in here. We've got about a couple of tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and we've got about 6 slices of thick cut bacon. If you want to see how the neat trick that I use to cut my bacon, if you haven't been watching, we will leave a link to the cracked potato video or the zuppa toscana recipe. I show you how to do it in both of those. Now we're just going to saute this bacon up. Just fry it up until it starts to crisp nicely. And yes, I know it will release a lot of fat, but I put olive oil in there. You want the mix of the bacon fat and the olive oil. Now, for traditional pasta e fagioli, you would use pancetta. Pancetta is a little harder to find, so you can use bacon just like I'm doing. It will just add a little bit of a smokiness to it. Now, this fagioli is going to be a little different than what you normally see on your menu at Olive Garden. There's 2 types of fagioli. There is a red fagioli and a white fagioli. There is a huge debate over which is authentic Italian, which is Americanized. We're not going into that. But the type that I do is the white fagioli. The difference is there is no tomato in the white fagioli. And the flavor, to me, the flavor is much better in the white fagioli than in the red. The red has tomato. So I'm going to show you the white, and if you really love the red, you can add tomato to this. But trust me, once you try the white, you will be all about the white. Okay, our bacon's all crisped up now. So we're going to add in 2 good sprigs of rosemary and 1 bay leaf, and about a medium onion chopped, about 4 ribs of celery chopped, and about 3 good carrots chopped.
What could you do if you didn't have fresh rosemary?
You can use dried.
How much?
You would use about a good teaspoon and a half, 2 teaspoons of dried rosemary, because dried is stronger than fresh. So
what if I just had Italian season and it's got rosemary in it?
I would not recommend it.
Don't do that.
I would not recommend it, because you don't want the oregano and all of that. Right. You just want the rosemary.
Right.
Because white fagioli, one of your biggest flavors is from the bay leaf and the rosemary. Those are some of your biggest flavors in it. Okay. We're going to let this fry up until the vegetables are almost tender. As you can see, they're all cut really small. You want them to be all about the same size as your beans, which we'll bring in the beans in just a minute. You want to let this go until they're about half tender, and then we will add in our garlic and our beans. Okay, our veggies are starting to get a little more tender. So now we're going to add 6 cloves of garlic that has been finely chopped or grated. I use a microplane to grate mine, but you can do it, you can chop it or use a garlic press, whichever you like to do.
Well, if you just have minced garlic or something like that.
You can use that too. You can use about a couple of tablespoons.
Okay. You just have garlic powder if that's all you had, or granulated garlic?
You could, but it's not going to be as good. Right. I'll just tell you that.
I agree with that. Just for the people watching, if that's what you got,
You can, but it's not going to be as good.
Right.
Okay, over here. we have.
The most delicious thing on the earth.
These are burlotto beans that we grew. They're an Italian heirloom bean.
They look like this, by the way. They look like this when before you cook them. You know, but after you cook them, they look like that.
Not everybody can find those, and not everybody grows those. So actually, what you would use in that case, you would use 2 15-ounce cans of cannellini beans that you have drained but not rinsed.
Or a few cups of dried beans.
Or you could use 3 cups of dry beans, but you would want to cook those separate. So you're really better off doing canned.
Right.
If you don't have cannellini beans, you can use any other white bean, like a navy bean or a Great Northern, but cannellinis really work best in this. Or the burlotto beans like we're using here. Now you want to let this go until your veggies are completely tender, which only takes just a few minutes because this whole thing goes really quick at this point. I can't believe I forgot to tell you this. You want to add a couple of good pinches of salt and some pepper, a few good grinds or a few good pinches if you don't grind your own. And at this point, your veggies are almost there. And it already is smelling glorious.
If you don't have fresh rosemary, you're missing out on the aroma and the flavor it gives you. It's absolutely outstanding. We love growing it, and it's wonderful to add to things like this.
And if you're concerned about these 2 big branches in there, as the soup cooks, most of the leaves will fall off into your soup. And then you just pull out the stems.
Yep.
And even what hasn't fell off, it doesn't matter because it's brought its flavor, and that's all you're really looking for is the flavor. Okay, now we're ready for the next step. Our veggies are all tender. Now we're going to add in 6 cups of chicken stock. Now, if you're doing red fagioli, you would add some tomato at this point instead of all of this chicken stock. But because we're doing white, it's mostly chicken stock base. Which, to me, like I said, once you've had the white, it's hard to go back to the red because it's so much better. Now, you want to let this come to a good boil. And during the time that it's coming to a good boil, your vegetables, if there's any crunch left in them, it will soften them up. Your rosemary will start to break down. Everything will start to break down. So you want to let this come to a boil. Let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes.
I have a question for you. If they're using white cannellinis or something of that nature, are they going to have the same color at this point that we have?
No, it'll be
whiter.
It will be whiter.
It'll be whiter. We're just using burlotto beans because they're Italian beans and we love them and then we grow them.
It will be, at this point, if you use cannellinis, it will be a little more yellowy because of the chicken stock. It will be a little more yellowy. So don't be alarmed
if you're making this and it doesn't look exactly like this at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been cooking for about 10 to 15 minutes. At this point, you want to taste the broth for seasoning. I've already done that, and I've already added a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. So now, as we addressed before, at this point, if you use cannellini beans, it will be more yellowy or more white at this point. But because we use the burlotto beans, it's a little more tan. But at this point, we're going to add about a little over 1/3 of a box of deitolini pasta, which is a soup cut pasta. You want a small pasta. That's why I'm using deitolini.
Okay, well, I had a hard time finding deitolini in the store. What if you can't find deitolini?
Any small cut pasta will do. You could even do elbow macaroni.
Right. And Barilla does mini elbows.
Yes, that would work great.
Okay.
So you want to use about 1/3 of a box. I use just a little bit more. This is going to thicken up a lot with the pasta. It's going to thicken up.
How much did you use?
A little over 1/3 of a box.
You used about half a box. You used half a box.
Yeah, but that's just me. You can do 1/3 to a half, depending on how much pasta you like in it. But pasta e fagioli does mean pasta and beans, so so you want pasta in there. And this is going to thicken up. Don't be alarmed if it starts absorbing a lot of your broth. It's not going to be a brothy soup. It's going to be thicker, and that's actually how you want it. Now we're going to let this cook until the pasta is done, which should take probably another 10 to 12 minutes. As you can see, the pasta is done. It's nice and thick, and it will get thicker as it sits, by the way. But that's what you want in fagioli. Now you can see those rosemary stems in there. You want to go ahead and pull those off and see all the leaves fell off. Most of them fell off that one. That's okay. And you want to pull out the bay leaf. You don't want anybody to get choked on a bay leaf. Okay. Now we're going to serve this up and let Jason taste it.
Alright, so now it's time for me to taste this stuff. Now I want to address a couple of things first before I eat it. First of all, this bread that you see in the picture, this beautiful bread, Angela made that with the recipe from Heather at the Kneady Homesteader. Okay, what was the bread, Angela?
It was just her basic Italian loaf.
Okay.
That was one of her most recent videos.
And we're going to link that video in the description because it wasn't Angela's doing. It wasn't her recipe. It was somebody else's. But she did make that. Thank you.
And
Heather.
it is amazing.
Yeah. And now the rest of this, look, we understand that a lot of the ingredients we've used, the burrata beans, fresh rosemary, things of that nature. Some of y'all may not have because you didn't grow up, you're not growing food, whatever. You can use. We try to give you substitutions you can find in the store. This is just a lot of what we do is we show you how to use food that you grow and show that you can grow food and unique food at that in your backyard and still be able to cook it. Okay, that's a lot of what we do here. And show that, hey, it is possible to grow food and use it in great ways. So, but if you do have these things, awesome. We hope you choose to grow them. But also, you can find things to use in the store if you're not growing this food. Okay. Now I'm gonna shut up again and I'm gonna eat this.
And we topped it with some Parmesan cheese.
Oh, this is topped with Parmesan cheese and extra virgin olive oil.
A little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil.
So I'm gonna take a bite here. I'm gonna burn my stuff. I better blow this off.
You gotta blow it.
Oh my gosh, too much steam. Blow it off my spoon.
This is one of his favorites.
Oh, I just love these beans, man. That's outstanding, and everything just comes together in such a beautiful way. It's delicious, outstanding dish. Please grow the food if you can for this. It makes it so much better. But if not, it's delicious even without growing it for yourself. So it's outstanding. I love everything about it. A beautiful marriage of flavors. We appreciate you guys watching this. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We appreciate y'all watching. We love you guys. God bless you and goodbye.